fortuitous. Hashem has his plans. Yesterday was such a painful day for Mr. El, and I feel grateful that Hashem sent us someone this morning to give us divrei chizuk, to help us have a broader perspective. And I'm really honored to have our special guest this morning. And to introduce him, we're so happy to have Rabbi Kamenetsky, who so many of you know is the Menachel of DRS. And now he's been appointed the Rosh Yeshiva of our whole house. And we're so honored to have him introduce our guest and to be here to help our speaker. Thank you.
It's so special to be here. I guess now that Mrs. Stern mentioned the new role, I guess I have to admit that I'm actually here in my new role. I was telling Uri on the drive on the way here what an incredibly special place this is. What an incredibly special school this is. The quality of young lady that attends this institution. And I think you already know what I'm going to say, but I think it never hurts to repeat. Just going to say along. I really don't want to take away time also because we're on a little bit of a crazy tight schedule this morning. I happened to be at Long Beach yesterday doing interviews for the 8th grade boys to get into DRS. And Rabbi Plotkin, while I was there, also recognizing that now they call me Rosh Yeshiva, so he said, you know, it was a terrible day for Am Yisrael yesterday, maybe you should speak to the boys a little bit. So I spoke to the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys, and I spoke to the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls. And I'm just going to tell you just one story that I said to them. I had the incredible privilege this past summer of paying shiva visits to some of the families of soldiers who lost their children in Tzuk Eitan, in Operation Protective Edge. And I went with Mori Barabi and Golan Rav Herschel Schechter, Shlita from Yeshiva University, and we, those of you who know about Rabbi Schechter, he's one of the most incredibly loving members of Klal Yisrael. Whenever anybody in Klal Yisrael feels pain, he takes it like it's his own. So before we're walking in, he says, what am I going to tell these parents? What am I going to tell these parents? A 20-year-old boy, a 25-year-old boy, he walks into the house, he's crying, bawling, crying. And the mother of the soldier says to him, lo liv coat, asur liv coat, lo liv coat. We live in the land of Israel. We understand that protecting the land of Israel requires strength. We understand that our children have to be on the front lines defending the land of Israel. This is a zchut gedolah for us that we get to live in the land of Israel. Lo liv coat. Then we went to the second shiva house, and the father said the same thing. He started bawling, crying again, and the father said, lo liv coat, lo liv coat. We have other children. We'll make other smachot. And I just got to tell you, I was so blown away by the strength and the bitachon and the emunah and the positive attitude of these people. So blown away. And I've had the opportunity now for the last few hours to get to meet somebody who I never met before, Ori Yifrach. And I think all the three families, anybody who watched all the videos, and it was so beautiful. Last night I had a lot of things to take care of. You all know there's a lot going on today in the neighborhood. Yesterday there was a lot going on. Unfortunately, another Levaya today that we're going to have to go to. It's been a difficult 2 days. Yesterday at Long Beach, I said it was a difficult day, but tomorrow will be a better day. But the next day for Long Beach turned out not to be such a better day. But in the last night, you know, Uri sat down with my son, with my 13-year-old boy, and sat and watched videos about Eyal and videos about the boys in such a positive way. He is succeeding in turning this terrible ason, this terrible tragedy, into something positive for so many people. So, again, I could go on and on, but it's more important that you hear from him. So please give your undivided attention to Ori Yifrach.
Good morning. My English is not very well, but I do but my best. It's very hard day to day and tomorrow. and they say to all, this is a story to Am Israel, and we must to continue everything, to live simcha, all. I have come here today, a special journey that my son Eyal began. Eyal left his yeshiva to come home. He so much want to feel safe in his country that he loved so much. Eyal hitched a ride in Gush Etzion together with Gilad Shayer and Naftali Frankel. In a matter of seconds, they understood that the driver and his passenger was not Jews, but cruel terrorists. Eyal fought for his life, but was immediately murdered by the terrorist gang. He was a hero. During the 80 days that we did not know where Gilad, Eyal, and Naftali were, all of Am Israel, in Israel, and in the whole world, united in tefillah for return the boys. There was a feeling of unity as never before. His whole life, Eyal always fought as other of others. He helped wherever he could, and really loved each and every person with whom he met. And Am Israel loved him in return. Hashem took us all on a journey of love, a journey that gives strength and emunah, that allowed us to cope afterwards with the war in Gaza. During that war, the true intent of the Arabs was revealed: to destroy us through the tunnels that they unprepared. Who knows what the fate of our nation would have been had their plans been successful. In every time of darkness, one must find the light. We love Am Israel. We love Eretz Israel. We love Torah Israel. יש בנו אהבה והיא תנצח. We have a love and we will win. Eyal, he was in 18, and he write a Yoman. I write from his Yoman in Hebrew.
We're just now just going to read a little bit from Eyal's diary. It's right. Bill had mentioned last night that the other boys a high school boy, there's very, very little that a parent has. He said, whatever my kids had, the other families, whatever the kids had was in the car with them, was in their knapsack. They had nothing. But Eyal had a diary, and the family, luckily, has the diary. So we're going to read a few lines from Eyal's diary. I will translate them.
אני לא מפחד או נרתע, להפך, זה דורש ממני מאמץ. אני לא בטוח אם אני אצליח לתת, אך אנסה. אין בי פחד מהצלחה. יש כאן רצון להצלחה. רצון לנסות, תנסה.
Says, I'm not scared. Just quite the opposite. I am very, the fact that I'm nervous, that requires for me to have strength. Even though I am not sure that I will not succeed, but I try anyway. I do not have fear from not being successful. I have a desire to be successful. I have a desire to try. So try.
צא החוצה, תנסה, תשאף את האוויר שבחוץ, תתגבר, תיפול, תקום, תיפול שוב, 1000 פעם, אחדה, שאם נפלת 1000 פעם, סימן שהצלחת לקום אחרי כל אחת מהפעמים האלה, סימן שיש בך את הכוח.
Go outside. Try. Breathe the air that's outside. Be strong. You'll fall, and you'll get up. You'll fall again, even 1,000 times. But know that even if you fell 1,000 times, that's a proof that you succeeded in getting up after every time that you fell. It's a sign that you have the strength to get up.
תודה רבה. Thank you.
If anybody wants to ask Ori any questions, any question that you'd like to ask, please feel free to ask it. We'd be happy to try and answer. We'll observe the 8-second rule. It's going to take at least 8 seconds. Oh, someone even not before the 8 seconds.
Stand up. Okay. When you found out that your son wasn't coming home, what was your reaction? How did that? I don't know if you get questions about it, but what was? I can't even think of it.
All the time we feel that the boys back, and we live and we believe. באמת. אוקיי. אנחנו האמנו שהם יחזרו, הבנים. אבל זה רצון השם. והקדוש ברוך הוא קובע, ואנחנו עושים את מה שאנחנו יכולים פה, למטה. הקדוש ברוך הוא מחליט כל מיני מה.
Said that while throughout all the 18 days they did believe, they wanted to trust and hope and believe they were coming back. When the Sorah came, when the news came, they weren't coming back. So the reaction of the family, you should know that my wife and I got very connected to the rabbi and the Rebbitzin, Rabbi Levy and Rabbi Levy of the community of Elad. We're talking, like I said before, we're talking about a community of people that have incredible strength. You just heard it yourself, where we said, Hashem decides up top what goes on down here. We don't know. We're only down here. We do the best we can. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide, and it was the family's decision to accept that as a decree from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now they have to move on and do what they have to do to continue his legacy. And And one of the two things that Uri's here for, he's collecting money. In that shul in Elad, they'll be building a small Beit Midrash so that the people in the community should be able to learn Torah, Le'ilui Nishmat Eyal, and also in this high school in Petah Tikva, they're going to be building an Aron Kodesh. Any other?
It will be our honor to participate in that fundraising.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Please feel free.
How long ago did Eyal write that diary entry?
בשנה האחרונה שחיים כתב את היומן maybe אומרים שהנשמה מרגישה משהו.
Says that he just wrote it in the last year of his life, and perhaps he suggests that maybe it is said that the neshama knows when its time on this world is ending. So perhaps that was the motivation for him to write this, that people afterwards should have his thoughts from his life.
How was it waking up the next morning after such a tragedy? How did you move on? What were you telling yourself?
באסון כזה, איך אפשר באמת כל בוקר לחלום וללכת, איך אפשר לעשות את זה?
כל בוקר באמת זה, כל בוקר זה לקום ולבחור בחיים. יש חיים גם, יש לנו ילדים. כמו שאמרנו, זו בחירה של הקדוש ברוך הוא, ואם הקדוש ברוך הוא רוצה, וככה הוא החליט, אז אנחנו חייבים לקום ולהמשיך בחיים רגיל. ואי אפשר רק להחמיץ פנים, כי אם אתה מחמיץ פנים, אז אולי אתה לא מקבל מה שהקדוש ברוך הוא אמר לך. אז אתה צריך לקום ולהגיד, טוב להודות לשם.
First he quotes his wife. His wife says, first thing to do is to wake up in the morning. Other children have, how many other children? 5? 6? Have 6 other children, so they have plenty to take care of. And the key thing is that if a person is too upset, if something bad happens to a person and he's too upset about it, obviously when something bad happens, he's supposed to be upset. It's normal to be upset. If you're too upset about it, and that basically shows that you're not happy with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for you in your life. And at some point, the person has to say, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent this thing to me in my life, then it was meant for me to have, and I have to move on with it. And I have to say, Tov Lahados LaHashem for that what I do have, as opposed to being overly upset for that which what I don't have. Maybe we have time for one more question.
Hi, what are some things we can do in our everyday life to keep his memory alive?
שואלת, מה אפשר לבנות לעשות כדי להמשיך את מה שהיה או מה שהוא הרגיש בחיים שלו? מה הדבר אחד שהם יכולים לעשות שאתה מציע שהם ימשיכו את הזיכרון של אייל?
קודם כל, לבוא לארץ ישראל. קודם כל, הוא כל כך אהב את הארץ, אייל כל כך אהב את הארץ, באמת. אז קודם כל, הוא ודאי, הדבר ראשון שהיה אמר לכם, תבואו אלינו לארץ. And עבדו את השם בשמחה.
Just want to ask one last thing. Who's helping with this? Just, during the time when the boys went missing, the achut that we felt here in our school, in the larger community around the world, it was just unparalleled. Mashahu. And how did that help you? You know, did it help you? And that power of Achdut, how did it help your family and the other families?
היה כל כך אחדות פה, כל 18 יום, האם זה עזר לכם ואיך זה עזר לכם?
ודאי שזה עזר, זה ודאי, of course. And the say to us, זה אמר לנו בעצם, זה אומר לנו שאנחנו יכולים להיות כל כך ביחד, לאהוב כל כך אחד את השני, ובעזרת השם זה מה שאנחנו צריכים לשמור, אנחנו צריכים להשתדל, לחזור ולהיות כולנו ביחד. זה הדבר הכי חשוב בשביל כל עם ישראל.
I'll just close by telling you over something that Uri told me last night at the table. Yeah, okay. He said that certainly the Achdut helped very, very much, and this is the biggest lesson from this whole story is that Am Yisrael has to always be biyachad, and we derive strength from each other when we're biyachad, and that was certainly the biggest lesson that came out of everything was the Achdut of Klal Yisrael. I want to tell you a story that Uri told me last night, beautiful. He said that, and we'll just close with this thing, it's very appropriate right on this message. And this is really what Uri stands for. It's really what Elad stands for. Elad is a community that's 85% Haredi and 15% Dati Leumi, called loosely translated as modern Orthodox. 85% Yeshivish, 15% modern Orthodox. And he said that, and the Yifrachs belong to the Dati Leumi, the modern Orthodox part of the community. He said that they once asked the rabbi, you know, which is the correct way for Avodat Hashem? This is, we were eating dinner last night. He said, somebody once came to the rabbi and asked him, which is the best way for Avodat Hashem? To be a chassid, or a Sakra chassid, or a Belzer chassid, or a Litvisha, a Litvak, or a Svaradi, Ashkenazi, or which is really the way that Hashem wants you to serve, or modern Orthodox, or which is the way that you're really supposed to be? They asked the rabbi. He said, the rabbi said, did you ever go to the symphony? You ever go to the orchestra? So you'll notice that there's violins in the orchestra, and there's pianos in the orchestra, and there's drums, and there's cymbals, and there's... He said, so which is the most important instrument in the orchestra? The answer is that all of the instruments in the orchestra, right? And you don't have an orchestra without the violins, and without the piano, and without the saxophone, and without the wind instruments. That's what Am Yisrael is. Am Yisrael is a beautiful orchestra, and we're all supposed to think how we're all part of that orchestra, and we should have tolerance and understanding and realize that what brings us together with other Jews is a lot more than what makes us separate. So I want to just thank all the girls here for living up to the big expectations that I said to Uri on the way here about what a special group this is. And we should all get together for joyous occasions. And may that be always the future of Am Yisrael. Thank you very much.